Hello friends, welcome to the Anatomy Hub. Today we'll study about the special sense and their pathway lecture series. So today we'll focus over the auditory system. So this auditory system that is built to allow us to hear, okay, or to listen. So it is remarkable for its sensitivity. It is especially important in human being because it provides the sensory input necessary for the speech recognition. So first we will study about the anatomy and the function. So as you know that the cochlea within the inner ear is the specialized organ that actually transduces or registers the sound waves, and it lies within the cochlear duct, a portion of the membranous labyrinth within the temporal bone of the base of the skull. If you will cut the mm, calvaria and if you will remove the brain and the meninges, you will find the middle cranial fossa, okay, and that middle cranial fossa posteriorly bounded by the petrous part of the temporal bone. So if you will dig a hole just here at this point, you will find you will just reach at the inner ear and the middle ear cavity. So this membranous labyrinth that is present within the temporal bone of the base of the skull. So the sound waves that converge through the pinna and at the outer ear canal to strike the tympanic membrane. The vibrations of this tympanic membrane they are transmitted by the way of three ossicles, that is your here you will find the malleus, incus and the stapes in the middle ear uh, towards the oval window, okay, where the sound waves they are transmitted to the cochlear duct. So already we have covered the middle ear and the detail about the middle ear. Please go to this I button and you will get the middle ear lecture. So here you can see in this picture, this is the human ear. Middle ear muscles that have been here omitted to mark the relationship with the inner ear with very clear, but these muscles are the stapedius muscle and the tensor tympani muscle. So here you can see the schematic view of the ear. So you can see this is the outer ear canal and this is your middle ear and this is your inner ear. So as the sound wave that will hit the tympanic membrane, the position of the ossicles they will be uh, change their place and they will vibrate. So and they will move towards the blue, as you can see over here, and the black area region, okay. So two small muscles that can affect the strength of the auditory signal, that is the tensor tympani muscle, which attaches to the eardrum or the tympanic membrane, and you'll find another muscle, that is the stapedius muscle. So the stapedius muscles attach to the stapes bone, and these muscles they may dampen the signal and they also help mm, uh, prevent damage to the ear from very loud noises. Then if you'll come towards the inner ear, that contains the organ of Corti within the cochlear duct. So as a result of the movement of the stapes and the tympanic membrane, a traveling wave that is set up in the pre-lymph in the perilymph within the scala vestibuli of the cochlea that we will see in the next picture. Here you can see this is the scala media, this is your scala vestibuli, this is the inner ear structure, and here you can find the basal membrane with the scala tympani, and here you will find the hair cells, and these are the spiral ganglions. Okay, and here you will find this is the tectorial membrane. So the traveling waves propagate along the cochlea. The high frequency sound stimuli elicit waves that reach their maximum near to the base of the cochlea, that is nearer to the oval window. So the sound of different frequencies, they tend to excite the hair follicles, or you can say the hair cells in different parts of the cochlea with the tonotopically organized. So this is the cross section through one turn of the cochlea. So the human cochlea that contains more than 15,000 hair cells, and these specialized receptor cells, they transduce the mechanical auditory stimuli into the electrical signals. Here you can see the hair cells. So these waves, the traveling waves within the perilymph, stimulate the organ of the Corti through the vibration of the tectorial membrane against the uh, kinocilia that you can observe over here, kinocilia of the hair cells, and the mechanical distortion of the kinocilium of each hair cell, they are transformed into the depolarization, which open the calcium channels within the hair cells, and these channels, they are clustered close to the synaptic zone. Influx of the calcium after opening of these channels, they evokes the release of neurotransmitter, which elicits a depolarization in peripheral branches of the neurons of the cochlear ganglion. As a result, the action potential, they are produced that are transmitted to the brain along with the axons that run within the cochlear nerve. So this is the structure of hair cell. The hair cells of the inner ear, so they are actually very much sensitive transducers that in human beings mediate the sense of hearing and balance. A tiny force applied to the top of the cell that produces an electrical signal at the bottom of the cell, and that stimulation, the action potential in form of action potential, they will go towards the brain. So the auditory system means the hearing, that is the second in importance among the special senses in human after the vision. So the auditory system that transmits the stimulus response for hearing from the hear receptors or hearing receptors in the internal ear, that is also called as the spiral organ or the organ of Corti, to the auditory area of the uh, cerebral cortex. So that will find just at the higher center. So Here you will find this is your pontomedullary junction. Okay, so first the stimulation or stimulus will reach at the pontomedullary junction with its targeted nucleus, either at the cochlear nucleus or at the vestibular nucleus. But auditory pathway, they are very much concerned with the cochlear nucleus. So all these things happens within the structures they are included in the auditory system are mainly the organ of Corti that you can observe over here, the dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei, the trapezoid body and its nuclei, the lateral lemniscus, the inferior colliculus that will find over here, the inferior colliculus that is present at the midbrain, at the posterior part of the midbrain, at the tectum of the midbrain, and then it also includes the medial geniculate body. Then you will find the auditory radiations, and finally that will reach at the auditory cortex. So all these things we will study in detail. So here you can see the organ of Corti. So this is the spiral organ or the organ of Corti that is present at the inner ear. So this organ of Corti, or you can say the hearing receptor, this is actually present inside the cochlear duct. So the cells inside the cochlear duct, they are highly modified cells. They form the structures that is the organ of Corti. So this organ of Corti that consists of two rod cells or the pillar cells, that can be called as the rods of the Corti, that stands on the basilar membrane that you can observe over here, and that projects into the scala media. In this picture you can see clearly this is your basilar membrane, and from this basilar membrane you will find these two rods are there. So these rods are the rods of Corti that stands over this basilar membrane or basilar membrane and projects into the scala media that you can observe over here. And this triangular interval that is formed by these two rods and the basilar membrane, that is the interval between these two rods, and that forms a tunnel over here, and this tunnel that is filled with the perilymph that is known as your tunnel of Corti. So specialized cells, they are called as the hair cells that you can observe over here. So these hair cells, they are arranged in a single row that is internal to the inner rod. So these hair cells, they are arranged in single row internal to the inner rod, and 3 to 4 rows external to the outer rod. From the upper surface of the hair cells project tiny cilia, and these cilia are called as the stereocilia. So these stereocilia, the tips of the cilia, they are embedded within the gelatinous self that is called as your tectorial membrane, which is attached at one end to the limbus and the other end at the Hensen's cells. The afferent fibers of the cochlear nerve that form the synaptic contact with the plasma membrane of the hair cells. The pharyngeal cells, or you can say the supporting cells that you will find over here, they forms a cape like uh, around the base of the hair cells. The supporting Hensen cells, they are elongated columnar cells, and they lie outside the external row of the outer hair cells that you can observe over here. This is outer hair cell and this is inner hair cell. And when it goes more laterally, these columnar cells, they transforms into the cuboidal cells. So these cuboidal cells are known as the cells of Claudius. The reticular lamina, that is the rough membrane that supported by the rods of Coti, and they presents the tiny holes for the passage of this stereocilia. The space other than this tunnel of Coti, all they are filled with the corticolymph. Now we'll see the steps involved in hearing. The sound waves, they are collected by the auricle and are conducted through the external ear auditory meatus to the tympanic membrane to make it vibrate. Then the vibratic tympanic membrane that causes the three ear ossicles in the middle ear, that is the malleus, incus, stapes, they vibrate. Then the vibrations of the foot plate of the stapes that produces the vibration in the perilymph of the scala vestibuli. So here the sound waves, they are converted into the fluid waves. So the vibration of your perilymph, that will cause stimulation to the vibration of the vestibular membrane, and the endolymph in the cochlear duct, which causes the bacillary membrane to vibrate. As the bacillary membrane vibrates, the hair cells of the organ of Coti attached to it, they will move. So consequently, the stereocilia of the hair cells, they embedded in the tectorial membrane, they become bent. So bending of the stereocilia, that causes the depolarization of the hair cells. The hair cells, they will induce the action potential in the neurons of the cochlear nerve, and this action potential generated in the cochlear nerve neurons, uh, that will be conducted to the cerebral cortex via the auditory pathway, where it is interpreted and perceived as the sound. Now we will see the auditory pathway. So the cell bodies of the first order neuron or first order sensory neuron uh, of the auditory pathways, that lies in the spiral ganglion, which is actually located within the cochlear medullus, and these neurons are the bipolar neurons. So this cochlear ganglions, which is located within the cochlear medullus, and these neurons are actually the bipolar neurons, and their peripheral process, they are going towards the organ of Coti, which is the end organ or the receptor organ of hearing, and while the central process that is going towards the central process constitute the cochlear nerve, and they are uh, going towards the cochlear nerve, and which enters the brainstem at the junction of your medulla and the pons at the pontomedullary junction, and these fibers, they bifurcate, one branch ending at the dorsal nucleus or dorsal cochlear nucleus, and another ends at the ventral cochlear nucleus. The second order sensory neurons, they arise from the cells of the cochlear nucleus. They will end at the dorsal nucleus of the corpus trapezium or and at the superior olivary nucleus of the same side as well as to the opposite side. So the third order neuron that arises from the dorsal nucleus of the trapezoid body and the superior olivary nucleus, they both the sides they ascends as a lateral lemniscus, and this lateral lemniscus is the peripheral ascending auditory tract, and it ascends from the region of your superior olivary nucleus that you can observe over here, and it ascends from this superior olivary nucleus through the lateral part of the pontine tegmentum and close to the surface of the brainstem. A few of its fibers they relay in the uh, inferior colliculus, that is the center of your auditory reflex for the reflex activity, and which sends the sets of axons to the medial geniculate body through the branchium of the inferior colliculus. The most of the fibers of the lateral lemniscus they pass directly to the medial geniculate body without being relayed in the inferior colliculus. Only some of the fibers they relay over the inferior colliculus. The fibers arising from the medial geniculate body, these are the fourth order neurons. From the auditory radiations which run through the sublentiform part of the internal capsule to project into the anterior transverse temporal gyrus that is located on the upper surface of the superior temporal gyrus, partly that is buried in the lateral sulcus. So this temporal gyrus that contains the primary auditory cortex, that is area number 41 and 42 of Brodmann. So there is bilateral cortical representation from each organ of corti that provided by distribution of fibers of cochlear nuclei to the lateral lemniscus of both the side, and also the interneurons they establishing the cross connections between the nuclei of the lateral lemniscus and between the inferior colliculi. So here you have to note that the trapezoid body, that is a mass of fibers in the midline of the tegmentum of pons, that is formed as a result from the decussation of efferent fibers of the cochlear nuclei of two sides, and it presents a shape of the trapezium in cross section. So the name trapezoid body is given due to its shape. It has some scattered small nuclear masses within the ventral fibers and a large dorsal nucleus which lies lateral to the trapezoid body. So the superior olivary nucleus that lies lateral to the dorsal trapezoid nucleus. So the nucleus of the lateral lemniscus, that is a small aggregation of the nerve cells among the fibers of your lateral lemniscus. They receives the bilateral afferent connections from both the cochlear nuclei and the efferent part that join the lateral lemniscus. So the clinical thing you have to remember here, that each ear that is represented bilaterally in the auditory pathway from the medulla and upwards and projects about equally into the two cerebral hemisphere. So the unilateral lesions of the auditory cortex, they produce only a slight effect on the auditory acuity, that is the sharpness of hearing, which is difficult to detect by the audiometry testing. So here we have completed the auditory pathway. In next lecture we will see the second part of this one is a vestibular system, and how the vestibular system works. So hope you got the idea of the auditory pathway. So thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.